So on episode 2 of trying to get the truck ready for Cars and Coffee, I have to have a way for my turbo to return oil back into the engine. And for that, I'm going to have to pull the oil pan and put a dash 10 AN fitting. So I pulled the oil pan. And in a very interesting thing, I can't get the oil filter off. You'll take a nice look right there. You'll see that I crushed it. I crushed it with the oil filter wrench. Not only that, but I put the oil filter wrench up here so I wouldn't crush it and yanked on it with everything I had, and I'm bending the oil filter wrench. This thing is insanely tight on here. My assumption is that the rubber grommet or gasket dry rotted or something, or I don't know, but I hit it with penetrating oil, and I'm really hoping that I can get that to break loose, because if not, we're gonna have serious problems. And while I was down here, I went ahead and looked on the underside of the engine. Everything looks to be in order as far as I can tell, so I'm just going to send it. I also checked all this delicious sludge down at the bottom of the oil pan, and I checked it for metal. It doesn't seem to be metal, this just seems to be sludge, which is typical. I'm going to take this thing out and clean it. The gasket came out in pieces, which means this is the original gasket, and this has never been pulled, which is a good thing because I don't want people touching stuff, but also that's a lot of sludge. I don't remember how many miles was on this, but I'm pretty sure it was 100 some thousand. So we're gonna clean that and get her plumbed. I apologize. I do not know where my tripod is. Currently, you are leaned up against a container of scouring powder. Yes, I'm being a wuss and I'm wearing gloves. I'm just tired of having to wash my hands with gallons of whatever Gojo knockoff I have, Super Orange or whatever it's called. Get ready to watch this. That's that's pretty close to everything I got, and I don't think that even remotely moved. I don't understand how you could get that thing on that tight. It's honestly impressive. I'm gonna be real with you. I think it's a little impressive. But we're just gonna try it again. Oh my god, I think I got it. Holy crap. Okay. We got there. We got there. I dare you to listen to that last part with your eyes closed and just imagine what was going on. That was a joke. Don't do that. Do not do that. This oil is just pitch black. This is pretty dark oil. Also, this is a high mileage engine, so I don't know. I don't really care. I've already got the engine. I'm not rebuilding it. You know what? If I throw 10 pounds of boost at it and it blows up, I make enough money that I can just go buy a 5.3. Okay, that smells like just straight oil, which is good. There's no coolant smell. There's no milky brownness to this. It's just black. There's no metal or sparkly bits in here, which is also a good thing. I think this is it's an old engine with a lot of sludge and carbon buildup, and it just smells like straight oil, so nothing super concerning. All right, so I have held the oil pan up to the engine, and I've made sure that where the 10AN inlet or oil drain is going to be is not in the way of like the motor mounts or not hitting something stupid. I decided on right here. Now the reason I went here is you want it, well, it can really be anywhere in the oil pan. You just want it to be above the oil level. And that's the reason for that is if you put it to where it's like submerged, like if you put it here and the oil level's here, you're always going to have it's pushing against that pressure from that upper oil, meaning your turbo will never fully drain, which means you're going to back up oil, right? Because you've got a pressured inlet on the top and then just a free flowing bottom, right? There's no vacuum on the bottom. So you're going to have a high pressure area and then an area that's not low pressure. So that means you're going to back up oil out of the turbo. It's going to burn oil. It's going to spit oil. It's going to be gross. So you want it high enough to where it's above the typical oil level in the pan. We also don't want it so high that when it's sitting in the pan, it's not bumping your crankshaft or the bottom of your pistons. I drilled my small little pilot hole there, and we're just going to either use a step drill bit or a larger drill bit to make that hole the correct size. But I'm going to drill that hole tomorrow because I have work in the morning and sleep is typically considered good for the human body. Okay, so I just drilled the hole in the oil pan, but I need to clean it. It's really gross before I actually put the dash 10 AN fitting on it. So I'm actually going to take it to the car wash because I don't have a pressure washer. But little side project, peep the commercial grade Cub Cadet. It's a mess. I'm aware. Shut up. Peep the Cub Cadet that my brother gifted me because he's an absolute G. He gave it to me. He's like, yeah, it doesn't really run super great. It's kind of funky and weird. I was like, okay, cool. Yeah, it's because there was like 15 pounds of like matted stuck grass in the deck, and the blade was super dull. So I sharpened it with an angle grinder and cleaned the deck out, and she runs great. So I'm back from the car wash. A lot of this junk didn't come off with the degreaser. You can see a lot of this stuff did. I didn't really care about the inside too much. But if you look right here, that's the area I went and wire brushed that and then sprayed it with parts cleaner just to make sure that that area around it is pretty clean for when I put those gaskets on. If we take a look at the outside, you can see that all this stuff is so caked on from years and years of being gross and dirty that I couldn't get this stuff off with multiple coats of degreaser and a pressure washer. So it's not as gross. I'm fine with putting this back on. Obviously, I'm going to do some work to clean up this mating area before I put it back on the truck. If you look right here, you'll see that's the area on the outside. I cleaned that with a wire brush as well and then sprayed it with parts cleaner and then wiped it down to make sure everything's clean right there. I'm going to go ahead and put the 10 AN bung on there. All right, we are snug, safe, and sound on this oil drain for the turbo in the oil pan. So once this dries out, there's still some residual water from power washing it. Once this is completely dry, it should be ready to put a new gasket on there. I did clean this up with a greenie weenie. No more vocabulary lesson because that was in the last video, but I cleaned up the surface area on this and then I kind of ran it through this notch to clean some stuff out. I'm going to blow it out with an air hose and some parts cleaner, and then it should be ready to go back on the engine. Now we have a way to drain the oil out of the turbo, but we still need a way to supply oil to the turbo. So the way a turbo typically works is you have a high pressure oil feed and then just a gravity drain. And so here's what I have. So the guy that owned the truck before me ran the stock adapter that goes from 1/8 inch NPT to whatever thread this is. I don't know if it's correct thread, but it fits well to a straight walled 1/4 inch pipe thread. The guy before me had some bunch of adapters here and it ran off in this big T and it was really large and cumbersome and I didn't like that. So I've got this new version that is slightly more compact, right? So it doesn't have a massive T at a weird angle. It's just a little bit more compact at a certain angle. This is a Glow Shift small block Chevy oil pressure sensor adapter. The reason it's the small block Chevy one, if you didn't know, is that 4.3s are actually based off of a small block Chevy 350. They are not an LS based engine. Therefore, they don't use LS oil pressure sensors. They use small block Chevy type. This currently is just an 1/8 inch to 1/8 inch NPT male to male fitting. This will actually be replaced by a part I have on order. It's going to go from 1/8 inch NPT to -4 AN fitting. And then I'm going to take a different version of this one. This one sucks. It's all gunky and gross from the guy that owned the truck before me. And it's the eBay special. For those who don't know, -4AN will thread onto 1/8 inch NPT, but it will not seal correctly. This is a taper seal, and these use that little chamfered 45-degree face to actually seal for NPT. I apologize for AN fittings, so I'm going to get a NPT to AN fitting, which is going to go on a new fitting right here. That's going to run a 4AN line to my turbo. Keeping with the theme of oil-based things to fix on the engine, I also realized that I did not have a dipstick or a dipstick tube for this engine when I bought it, so I bought a new one off of eBay. I didn't realize this, but this is like comically long. Like if you don't see like how far this sticks out, that is hilarious. I didn't realize it was that ridiculous. I thought it would just come to here. This apparently bolts to the head. This comes out like past the alternator, which is really funny, and it might bump the turbo. I might have to either bend this or cut it or something, but I've got it. It's not actually permanently attached right now, but I checked the depth, everything looks right, and now I have an actual dipstick so that there's not just a random hole in the block. So yeah, that's about all I can do until I get my parts in. I obviously can't even install them yet because the engine's not put back together. That is my next step, is to get everything cleaned and put together. I've got my push rods, my rocker arms, and my lifters all sitting in an oil bath in pans so that they're not dry when I install them back into the engine. Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. I look really rough and really gross. That's going to be next. I'm going to put the heads back on with the new MLS head gaskets and the hardened steel head bolts, that's what they're called. Get that put back together. I'll get the marine intake put on. I'll start putting everything back together. We're getting there, guys. We're getting there. I've got 3 weeks until the end of May. I've kind of dilly-dallied. My girlfriend graduated college, so I had to go with her and obviously watch her and congratulate her during her graduation. And then I had some other family stuff and other weekends. So I'm not here on the weekends, and there's only so much stuff I can do during the week. So I apologize. I'm really hoping that I can still get this done in the time frame I set. If I can't, it's whatever, but hopefully I can. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. Please like the video. Please subscribe if you want to. If you have any sort of feedback, whether that is positive or negative, leave it down in the comments below. Do not be a dick about it, and have a good rest of your day.